I call her the peaked in high school mean girl. Oh, Paige. Oh, Paige. Oh, Paige. Oh, Paige. Paige and Craig, Paige and Craig, Paige and Craig. Do I believe the rumor that she cheated on Craig? Yeah, because I'm messy as hell. And so it is a juicy rumor. So yeah, I want to believe it. Not in like a mean way, but in like a fun gossip way. Probably, why not? When Craig said this season, when he was on Summer House, because when Danielle read Paige for filth and told her about herself, when she was like, you give Craig nothing, and I don't think you're into him, and I don't think you guys are happy, and you give him nothing, she basically read her for filth. And then Paige got in her little feelings about it, and they had their little picnic, and she's like, is this okay? And blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like acting like she's some boss babe when she's just a mean girl who peaked in high school. When he said, I knew in my gut that, he's like, well, if I turn 40 and I don't have kids and we're not married and like this isn't going anywhere, he's like, I knew, I'm going to look back and be like, I knew in my gut that she was wasting my time. This is a PSA, 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 PSA. Any man, woman, or child, if you know in your gut someone is wasting your time, I'm going to need you to exit stage left immediately. Immediately. That means they're wasting your time. And just like I said with the Sierra, we need to take your accountability pill. Craig, same thing to you. If you have the awareness to say on national television that you would get to the age of 40 with no kids, unmarried, and that's not a slight to being 40 and having no children or not being married. I'm just saying what he's saying he wants. Not obviously, I'm not knocking that. I don't care. And you're going to say, I knew in my gut this person was wasting my time. Craig, she's not wasting your time. You're wasting your own time. You can't be mad at Paige. If you have the awareness to say on national television that you know in your gut someone is wasting your time, that means you're wasting your own time. Because if the girls got to be accountable, so do the boys. So do the boys. I don't know why. Maybe it's just like the showmance of it all. They want to be a Bravo couple. They want to do spinoffs. They want to do crossing shows. They want to do, maybe it's like a Tom and Ariana. They have brand deals together. I don't know. But I don't know why they're wasting each other's time and playing in our faces. Because Paige keeps talking like, Paige acts like she owns her own company in Manhattan, and it's this multi-million-dollar company, and all these people are relying on her, and there's no way in hell she can leave New York because her job is so important. Paige, you're an influencer. You can literally do TikToks and Instagram reels from anywhere in the world. So the fact that you are claiming that it's your quote job keeping you in New York is a lie. You could fly to, New York and do summer house. You moving to Charleston, you could even do a crossover to Southern Charm. So it's not like you moving means you have to stop doing your Bravo gig. Anybody with an iPhone can be an influencer from anywhere in the world, literally anywhere in the world. You got a Wi-Fi and you got your phone. You're an influencer, boo-boo. What job are you talking about that's keeping you in New York? These little hosting things you're doing, Amazon Live, you do Amazon Live streaming. Again, you can do that from anywhere in the world. So what exactly is the issue with you not moving down to Charleston? I'll wait. What is it? It's because for whatever reason, in your gut, you don't really want him like that. He knows in his gut, you don't really want him like that. But you want him to want you, and you want to have this sort of, and again, it's the fakeness of it all. It's the like, I'm so cool. I'm an empowered woman. I don't need, I'd be fine without him. Like Craig wants me to need him and to be pinned on him. But the truth is I'd be fine. Well, if you would be fine without him, why are you with him? And obviously, I'm not talking about, you have to be dependent on a man for everything. And if he was to leave you, you would be in ruins. Obviously, I'm not talking about that. Even if you are in a marriage or a relationship where the man works and he's the breadwinner, always have your own. Always have your own bank account. This is a PSA to anybody, whether you're a man or a woman, and your partner is the breadwinner and the financial person and the person who has all the finances. Always have your own stash. Have your own account with just your name on it or your mama's name on it. Buy property in just your name. Buy things that you can flip and invest in just your name. Have accounts in just your name, so that like I said before, if one day this human being wakes up and decides you ain't it anymore, you'll be okay. So if you get an allowance or you share an account or whatever from your man, which is totally fine. I don't mean allowance in a derogatory way at all. Please, my money is my money and his money is our money. So yes, give me the allowance, give me the stipend all day long, please. And that's not being a gold digger or anything like that. That's just being a smart woman and my healthy feminine. Because as women, we add value that is unquantifiable. Men talk about that little money they got. Our value as women, please, unquantifiable, what we have as women, okay? So always have your own. So I'm not saying she needs to actually be like 100% dependent on him. But again, the problem is you keep trying to cosplay as this feminist when in your definition of a feminist, because that's not my definition of a feminist. My definition of a feminist is a woman's right to decide whatever the hell she wants. The end. That's it. That's me. That's feminist. A woman can decide for her body. She can decide for herself. She decides when and what she does to her body and how it happens. She decides if she wants to work, if she doesn't want to work, if she wants to be married, if she doesn't want to be married, if she wants to be with men, women, trans, A, B, C, D, Q, F, G. To me, being a feminist just means women are equal human beings with equal rights and equal agency to live out their pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. That is what being a feminist to me is. It's not chopping the penises off of men. It's not emasculating men. It's not girl bossing and I'm going to show him and I don't need a man and I'm hyper independent. To me, those are all trauma responses. Hyper independence is a trauma response. You don't think it's safe to need support. You think that you are not, that somehow if you need support or you need to depend on someone, that will be too much and you're not enough and they will leave you. Hyper independence is usually a result of the abandonment wound as a child. You think if I need someone, the only person I can rely on is myself because everybody leaves. There's nobody I can trust. No one's going to be there for me. And you get your value out of what you do for people because your value is performance based. That's why you do it all and you can take it on and you always say yes. Hyper independence is a trauma response. It's nothing to be proud of. It's actually something you should work on. As human beings, we should be interdependent, meaning I myself am independent, but I'm able to be interdependent with other people to have mutual and reciprocal interpersonal relationships. I do for you, you do for me. I need you, you need me. Two-way street. I give, I get, I give, I get, I give, I get. You fill me up, I fill you up. You fill me up, I fill you up. As human beings, we're meant to be interpersonal. That's why they're called interpersonal relationships. And that's why the healthiest dependence is interdependent. Okay? So Paige cosplaying as this hyper feminist person, miss me with the BS, Paige. I don't buy that for a second. And I'm clowning you a little bit. I'm poking fun, calling you a high school mean girl. Because the gag is, I also think you're cosplaying a mean girl. I don't think you're a mean girl, Paige. I think you're pretty. You're kind of vanilla, plain Jane, kind of basic chick. You're a basic chick to me. I know you try really hard with your fashions, but to me, your style doesn't hit the way you think it does. And you just seem really, I don't know. I don't get the Paige overhype. I don't really get it. I don't get the Paige overhype at all. That's just me. But her cosplaying as a mean girl, cosplaying as this hyper feminist, while at the same time emasculating Craig, makes me very, very confused. I don't need him. I don't need his money, blah, 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 blah. Well, but then you act like you're so high maintenance and the guy has to beg to be with you and all this other stuff. So which is it? Do you not need him? Or do you just get an ego boost with cosplaying this role with him where you're showing all of us how much he wants you, how much he loves you more, how distant you can be? Again, to me, it's still coming from some form of wounding because it's not authentic. To me, Paige and Craig, they're not authentic. And the way Paige is creating this narrative around her value in the relationship doesn't seem authentic. Because when you authentically are valuable in the relationship, you just are. It's not forced. It's show me, don't tell me. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot. It's a lot. So I'm confused as to why she's not moving to be with him. They've been together for a long time. I'm not saying that the woman always has to move, but I think that you have to weigh when it comes, let me put it this way. Paige and Craig, in all relationships, you should compromise, but you should never sacrifice. And it seems to me he wants her to compromise and move to be with him because his business is a brick and mortar in Charleston. And it is more of a place that he wants to raise children. So to me, that would be a compromise. And he's like, I will make our home as stylish as New York as you want to make it. I want you to get to know Madison and the other girls so you have a support system here. He's doing everything where it's like, if you compromise and you come here, then I will do everything in my power to make you as comfortable as you can be. Whereas I feel like she wants him to sacrifice for her to move to New York, where his brick and mortar business isn't there. And he can't really do his business from New York when she can be an influencer, like I said, literally anywhere. You don't have to be in any location to be an influencer. And remind me what other job Paige has other than Amazon Live, Giggly Swad. Again, that's a podcast. You can do a podcast, again, from anywhere. People do it all the time. I'm doing it right now. We're not in the same right now. A YouTube channel is pretty much a video podcast. Podcast is audio YouTube, essentially. You can do your little Giggly Swad podcast from anywhere. And then when you do get your little hosting gigs, you can just go and fly and do your little hosting gigs and then come back to where you live as your home base. So from where I'm sitting, it seems like Craig is looking for you to make a compromise in the relationship, where if you're willing to compromise, he will make it worth your while. Whereas you want him to sacrifice in order to have this front fake narrative of how cool you are and how you're going to make a man sacrifice if he wants to be with you. To me, it's coming more out of ego and out of selfishness than anything else. So if I was Craig, I personally would have been out. I wouldn't let anybody play in my face like this because Paige is playing in his face. And I do think Craig is getting to his limit because he's saying things like, well, you know what? If we make it or don't, I will be okay. I'm at the point in my life. And that's another thing. When your partner says to you, I am good with or without you, which is how we all should be. Like we should be okay whether someone is with us or not with us, right? That's a healthy person. I love you. I want to be with you. But if this doesn't work out, I'm still good. I'm still stable. I might be sad, but I'll be okay. That's where we all should be. That's that healthy part of ourselves. But when your partner says to you in the context of their relationship, babe, I'm good with you or without you. I don't know if this is going to work out. If it doesn't, I'm good. I've become, because he said, and again, like I said before, because she used to clown Craig because a lot of people used to clown Craig when he was kind of like all over the place. But he said, I've worked on myself and I'm in a really good place that now I'm in a point where if we're together, cool. But if we're not, I'm also good. And then she was all shook about it. I think this either was on Southern Charm or it was on Summer House. I get them confused because they cross shows a lot now. But it's on one of them, and that really shook her. And she was like, "No, but like I wouldn't be here if I didn't really love you. If I didn't want to be, if I wouldn't be here." So now you want to be all like, "I need you," because you got a little shook because he was like, "I'm with you or without you." But that is what I mean by when you're with a man. When she was with Craig was still clearly in love with Naomi. Quiet as it's kept, I think he's still in love with Naomi. And I think that in the back of his mind, Naomi is endgame. Watch this space. I would not be surprised if the gag is going to be, at the end of the day, it's going to be Craig and Naomi get back together. Watch that space. But he was clearly still in love with his ex Naomi when he was with Paige. That's why he didn't want to label it. He was being wishy-washy, all that stuff. And she was like, well, I'm going to play the cool girl. I'm just going to be so cool. I'm going to be the cool girl. And he's going to like choose me. No, Paige, he didn't choose you. He settled for you, if we're being honest. Because if Naomi said to him, I want you back, he would have dropped you like a freaking hot potato. Because Craig was losing his GD mind when Naomi was on the last season of Southern Charm. Not this season, but the season before that. He did not know what to do with himself. And he kept talking to you about her. Oh, my crazy ex-girlfriend. Oh, Naomi said this. Oh, Naomi said that. Again, these men have enough money for therapists. They can get better help, and you're not their bestie. Why are they talking to you about their ex? When a man continuously talks to you about his ex, he is actually communicating to you, this is the woman who is actually on my mind. Whether or not you want to accept that, that's up to you. And like I said, now Craig has healed from Naomi. I still think they're going to get back together, but he's healed from that. His business is booming. He's making money. He's in a good place. He's worked on himself. And what did he say to her? Well, at this point, I'm good. So I'm good with you or without you. And that's when she got shook. Because that's what I said before. When you're with a man who is either still into his ex or he lacks vision and he lacks a plan in any area of his life when he says he wants to be with you, usually, and that's not always money either. I think for Craig, it was more his self-esteem and his confidence because he was going through a lot of going from feeling not good enough man, unworthy, because everybody would clown him, to now he's making his money, his business is booming. I think he's probably gotten some therapy because he seems to be a lot more healed and a lot more reasonable and rational than a lot of people. I think now, because vision isn't always just money, vision is the man you want to be, that healthy, healed man. And now that Craig is in that position, his tune is changing. I could be with you or without you, is basically what he said to her. I could take you or leave you. So don't push it, Paige. He was putting her on notice, and that's why she got shook, okay? Because I didn't think she ever expected him to say that to her. Go back and watch. It's either the last season of Southern Charm or it's Summer House. I can't remember. I think it might have been Southern Charm. I'll go back and find out. But that scene to me, I was like, oh, Craig is ready to hat up. Craig is 1 foot out the door. You know what I mean? He's 1 foot out the door. And then it was confirmed on Summer House when he was talking to Kyle, and he had Kyle shook, remember? Because he was saying to Kyle, he was like, well, it would be naive to just assume this is going to work out. She lives in New York. I live in Charleston. None of us is willing to sort of budge on that. We're doing long distance. How long is that sustainable? So it would be naive to just assume this is going to work out. And Kyle was shook because, again, Kyle's a really good guy and he loves Paige and he looks at her like a sister. And so he was like, whoa. And then that's when Kyle went to Paige to be like, hey, what's going on with you and Craig. For the first time, I heard him express some doubts. And then Danielle came and read her down for filth, because we haven't really heard Craig be so indifferent to her before that even Kyle was shook. And that's what I mean. When a man gets his vision and his plan for whatever area in his life, and if you were not a part of that original vision and plan, you become disposable. And that's a harsh way to put it, but look at the pattern of behavior. But the thing is, Paige is doing it to herself, because I do think that if she compromised, not sacrificed, because this is the thing, in all things in life worth having, you're going to make compromises. In a relationship, you're going to have to compromise if you want to have a happy and healthy and balanced relationship where your partner does not end up resenting you. Because if I'm in a relationship and my partner never compromises and I'm the person who's always sacrificing, I'm going to resent the hell out of him. And then that's going to show up in, you didn't do the dishes. Why are you coming home late? What's going on here? Don't touch me, blah, 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 blah. Because the truth is, I now feel resentful that I've sacrificed so much for you. And I feel like you've done nothing for me. And now I feel like you owe me. When the truth is, each person needs to compromise on some things. And I'm going to say this, when it comes to relationships, you compromise on preferences, you never sacrifice your standard. Because these are different things. A preference is, Paige prefers to live in New York. She can make the compromise to live in Charleston. That's a preference. A sacrifice would be, like I said before, Craig's business, which is booming and he's making a lot of money, is physically headquartered in Charleston. Brick and mortar is there. That is where his business physically is. Uprooting that, and he also wants to have a family and kids in that area. And even Paige herself has talked about having kids, but being in New Jersey or Connecticut, which is, again, the outskirts of the city. So she still wants to raise her children in a suburban aspect, which is kind of what you would get in Charleston, maybe a little bit more homier, but it would still be more of that big house, backyard, walk to school, community feel. It would be a sacrifice for him to move to New York. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think that, wait 1 second, guys. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. So don't ever sacrifice your standards. Like, again, like for Sierra and West, let's say her actual standard was, I need to be in a committed relationship with someone before having sex with them. If that's her standard, then yeah, don't sacrifice that. Don't just sleep with him because you think that's the only way to keep him. But make sure that's rooted in your standard, not rooted in your wounding. That if I sleep with him, he's going to discard me because he got what he wanted. That's living in your wounding. A standard is, I value commitment and I value feeling safe when I'm physically intimate with someone. So until we have that level of trust and until we have that level of commitment, that I don't feel comfortable having sex with you. That's a standard rooted in your value. So don't ever compromise your standards. Don't ever sacrifice your standards, but compromise on preferences. A preference might be, hey, babe, let's get Chinese tonight. No, I don't really want to. I'm an Indian. That's a preference. Compromise. You know what I'm saying? When you learn how to compromise on your preferences in your relationship, that is how you foster healthy relationships. But don't sacrifice your standards. Like a standard could be, I value feeling safe in my relationship in all areas. Therefore, I want a partner who is financially abundant and stable because that gives me a feeling of safety. That's a standard rooted in a value. Anyway, That's kind of where I feel on them. To me, I just feel like Paige is like little girl lost cosplaying. Um, and I was gonna talk about Danielle and Gabby next, but I'm gonna talk about where I think Paige is lying next, and then I'll talk about Gabby and Danielle. Okay, so I stumbled upon this little nugget article. Let me get the article up. So the article is from Screen Rant, and it says Summer House, clues that Paige DeSorbo lives rent-free. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because wasn't one of Paige's storylines, conflicts with Craig was about how she's moving from her apartment to another apartment and what her budget for the apartment is. And she said it's like around 8,000 and I don't want to go any higher than that and blah blah blah. And that was a huge thing. And he's like, well, if you find something great that's like outside of that budget, I'll do the extra part. And she's like, no, I don't ever want a guy that I'm not married to pay my rent because I don't want to be beholden to him. This is the gag. Paige moved, I think, maybe April of this year or something like that. She moved it like a month or two ago. Prior to that, allegedly, word on the street, she was living in, I think her rent was maybe like 10 to 15K. These like that her crazy apartment in Hollington's worth, either for free or at a deep, deep influencer discount. So her whole storyline about being this boss babe, paying her own rent and all in her budget was a lie because she wasn't even paying her rent. And remember when she said before that she wasn't paying rent when she first came on the show because her parents were paying her rent? So she went from her parents paying her rent in New York City to either being paying no rent in New York or deeply discounted because she was an influencer for the building she lived for. So this is one of their posts from December of 2020. Let's upgrade ya. And they tagged at Paige. Paige on her Instagram and TikTok, she would always do tours of the amenities of her where she lived. She would geotag where she lived. I don't even geotag where I live, and I'm not on the level Paige is at when it comes to following, but just out of sheer safety. So basically, everybody on Reddit and on Screen Rant basically realized that she was an influencer for the apartment building she was living in and was living either rent-free or at a deep, deep discount in exchange for promoting the place. So her whole storyline with him about rent was a lie. And you know how she said that her budget was like 7 or 8K? Again, sleuths on the internet. I did not do this. Sleuths on the internet. The apartment that she moved to is 15.5K a month. This is also the gag. Isn't that more than what Lindsay and Carl were paying jointly for their apartment? Remember when she had the audacity to talk to Lindsay and Carl, who had two incomes for their 12K or whatever it was a month apartment, and now her apartment that she lives in by herself is $15,500 a month. But yet on the show, she's lying and saying her budget is 7 or 8K because I don't know, does she want to be relatable? But again, is she actually paying that amount or is she doing another influencer brand deal? I will post about it. I'll get your building into press and I'll do Instagram and we'll do that in exchange for a deep discount. She's not the first influencer to do this. There have been influencer housing. There have been influencer apartments. Some of the housewives, I believe Dorinda Medley did the same exact thing. It actually might have been in the same building. And I think Dorinda had to move when she got put on pause from New York, from the apartment she was in. But a lot of these housewives, Bravo stars, big influencers, they get either deep discounts or everything comped to promote. Now, I want to be very clear. By no means am I hating on the hustle. If you want to give me a $15,000 a month apartment in New York for free to post, call me. Link is in the bio, baby. Call me, hit your girl up all day long. I will post, I will tag, I'll do all of the things. Let's do the damn thing. So trust me, I am not a hater. By no means am I hating on her for this. My issue is, why are you lying about it? Why are you shaming Lindsay and Carl for combining their incomes and being like, you guys don't even have jobs? They do have jobs. Number one, they're on the show. And the gag is they've been on the show longer than you, Paige. They are season oneers. So they probably actually make more per episode. If I don't know the Summer House pay scale, but if it's like a Vanderpump Rules where you get paid by seniority, they make more than you do, boo boo. And they also do influencer stuff and everything else. So to shame Carl and Lindsay, and I don't even like Lindsay like that, but I'm not going to just bash Lindsay to bash her when I don't agree with it. You know, if I agree with somebody, I'm going to agree with them. I'm not just going to bash somebody to bash them if I don't agree with it. And I do think that Paige was, and that's again why I said before, Paige is a liar. She's not Lindsay's friend. She hates Lindsay. She only befriended Lindsay this season because it was so obvious that Lindsay and Carl were going to implode and she wanted a front row seat with popcorn. That's it. She hates Lindsay. Paige hates her. And I think she couldn't stand the fact that she was with Carl, a man who had rejected her. She couldn't stand it. So at the reunion, she's like, you guys don't have jobs. How are you getting this apartment? Well, Paige, you are now in a 15.5K apartment living by yourself. Are your parents still helping you? You have your job, so I'm sure you're making money from, and maybe you're getting an influencer discount, but then don't throw jabs at them. They're on the show, they're making money, they're doing influencer stuff. They were talking about it on the show this year about how Lindsay does influence stuff and so does Carl and everything else. So why are you coming at them? And then also, and Craig, and this is and remember this, because this is going to go into when I get to Kyle and Craig and the whole lover boy sprit society bull crap that's going on. Craig is also a liar because, oh, before I say that, and the reason why we know Paige was living rent free was on, I don't listen to the Giggly Squad podcast. I don't, but people on Reddit do. And they listened to an episode where either a caller or somebody, again, I don't listen to their podcast, I don't know the format, but basically asked Paige, oh, are you getting, your rent comped because you're always posting about your apartment? And she was very like demure about it, very like she didn't really answer it. So basically like a yes. And it's obvious because they're promoting her and she's promoting it. So Craig, you know that. So why are you lying? Why are you guys lying about this whole narrative storyline about Craig offering to make up the difference in your rent money and saying her budget is 7 to 8, but if she finds something she likes more, he'll make the difference? Craig, why are you agreeing to the lie? Because you know she doesn't even pay rent. And I doubt she went from one place that was rent free to a place now where she's paying 15K by herself. I highly doubt it. I'm pretty sure she's probably getting another influencer deal, which is fine. Trust me, if you are a luxury estate, a place, and you want me to post and talk about it and you want to comp me, call me, email me. Everything's in the description box. No shame. Trust me, by no means am I knocking her hustle. I think it's cool. It's awesome. If you get those opportunities, take them in life. If people want to comp you and they want to give you stuff and you have the opportunity to have experiences of luxury and ease, take them. Take them. There's no glory in sacrifice. There's no glory in suffering. There's no glory in grind and hurting it out. Hell no. If you can get something, take it. As long as you're not hurting anybody, take it. Why not? 1 second. Sorry, I had to put in a cough drop. So if you hear me sucking, it's the cough drop. I've been running my mouth for 2 hours, so a little dry. take it. But I'm looking side eye at Paige and Craig because it's a stupid lie. It's a stupid lie. Why make a storyline out about the rent and paying, and then she wants to be like, I'm an independent woman and I don't need no man to help me with my rent? Like, what? Like, I'm just confused at why Paige and Craig felt the need to lie about rent money. What value did that add to them as a couple or to a storyline, if anything, when you're lying? And we know you're lying. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, let me put it this way. Allegedly, all the receipts point to the fact that you're lying. And it's a stupid lie. And let me show you some more receipts. This is the Reddit, Paige's apartment. It says, so clearly she's living in her apartment for free or a seriously reduced price. I know in one of the last Giggly Squad episodes I listened to, she acted demure when a listener asked if she was getting her rent comped to advertise the building. She's always tagging her building in post, and now she did a tour today of the amenities. Come on, we aren't stupid. Then the other person says her last place was one of those influencer deals with the building where they periodically tag the place and show the amenities like the gym and rooftop. Talk about an upgrade, though. Sheesh. The other person says, I'm embarrassed to say I already found it on Street Easy, 15.5K a month. The other person says the irony is her making fun of Lindsay and Carl for their 13K apartment. I'm a Paige fan and expenses are a case by case situation, but I love some gossip, but she kind of looks like a dip crap now. A dip S, which is true. You're getting your rent comped and you're lying about it for a storyline that's boring as hell and nobody actually cares about. And Craig, you're co-signing the lie. And then you're coming after people. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Lindsay and Carl are getting their rent comped. I don't think so because they don't tag and everything like she does. But you're caught. You're caught in a dumb lie. Why are you making a storyline about this? And why are you co-signing it, Craig? Speaking of the lies, that brings me to Kyle Cook and Craig Conover beefing over